From our former MC to our current MC, we're going over to the yuji sukuna POV, and this was a very good chapter in terms of exploration from the previous events through planning and what's about to take place in the next chapter. Fortunately, next week we are on break, which that lets you know if you know anything about JJK on break, absolute madness will take over on social media. So just, might want to be on the lookout for that. Subscribe if you're enjoying this content with JJK and other stuff that will be coming on the channel eventually. Leave a like, helps out a lot. The flashback that took up most of the chapter, I really liked. Something about Gege doing these short in time flashbacks makes other things stand out way more than I originally expected. Of course, it revealed the plan of Takaba being a distraction and Yuta coming in and slicing off Kenjaku's head. By the way, I don't know why, but I like the people who were sitting or stood next to each other. Like, it's a theme with each little group that's there. Kashimo though was not fucking with all this planning shit. He just wanted that smoke with Sukuna. He even got mad because they made a plan for when he loses. Like come on now. Like, after what they saw Sukuna do in the biggest fight of the series, there was no way that they took you seriously in your opportunity to fight the king. Right. At least Kamo knew his limitations though. He just wants to be a family man and go back to his mother. I always appreciate characters in crises that are just like, hey, I'm not built for this, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave. It adds to how much is at stake and how powerful the opposition is. Now, Yuji did thank Kamo with teaching him. I think this all but confirms that Yuji has blood manipulation with his new upgrade, because even Choso tried helping him out and he wasn't that great of a teacher. The death painting theories is looking like the correct answer to his new arms that we've been seeing recently. I'm perfectly fine with Kamo concluding his character arc here. He's able to now reunite with his mother and new family. He helped Maki, who had a similar problem with the Zenin clan, and helped train Yuji for the final battle. Someone who in the baseball game stated that he could relate to. Also, I guess a major reveal depending on how much you like her. Miwa cannot wield a katana anymore due to the binding vow she made in Shibuya against Kenjaku. There were some people having rants about it on Twitter, and somehow this makes Gege misogynistic or whatever. Shut up, bitch! We got too much peak shit going on to be worried about Miwa. I mean, she's a solid supporting character for JJK and a character for Mekamaru. But come on now, let's get down to the actual business. The plan for Sukuna is Higuruma and Yuji are gonna go after Kashimo goes in. The problem was trying to get a death penalty for Sukuna. I thought like anybody else that this would be no problem, because I mean, Sukuna did massacre a bunch of people and he's killed a lot of characters, even in Megami's body or Yuji's body. He just doesn't matter, he's killed a bunch of people. I never took into account that Judge Man puts opponents on trial by charge, not in accumulation of offenses. In the way that Higuruma broke it down makes it more of a gamble to get the death penalty than expected. Like, Sukuna had body theft, attempted murder, and arson in 20 minutes. Also, I'm not familiar with, the Japanese law. I'm not gonna pretend like I do, but basically we have to bank on the Shibuya massacre of all those innocent people to be a trial. It was pretty funny though, seeing Miwa being surprised that Kusakabe was so knowledgeable on the law system of Japan. Which, if anything, Kusakabe has been a W this arc as the explanation guy, and it's making him useful in areas of teaching. I know at first people weren't the happiest with Kusakabe kind of being like the narrator in a sense, but this gives him a role and it's really fitting for him, considering that the last time we saw him before the Culling Games was with Yaga, who he did say that he was going to do a favor for because of how Yaga helped him, and this might be that favor, just being the leader of pretty much the sorcerers after Gojo. I'm all for it. Which, who would have thought the guy that was one to avoid anything that had anything to do with a special grade is helping lead a plan to beat a walking calamity. Reviewing the past crimes that Sukuna has committed in the series is pretty nuts, because in Yuji's body he did most of these crimes in under 30 minutes. Interesting enough though, the people who were killed due to being around the Sukuna finger, Sukuna wouldn't even really have to worry about being on trial for that. Even past crimes and battles in the Heian era were seemingly abolished. Sukuna in the Heian era, when it comes to law enforcement, was literally just doing whatever the fuck he wanted, so it kind of doesn't even matter about his past crimes. I just love the exploration of Higuruma's technique and how this technique is literally an embodiment of himself. Even if he thinks something could be considered a crime be put on trial, Judge Man will do the same and think the same. At least my guy can use confiscation at the very least if he can't get the death penalty, although it leads to the very question of, will it confiscate all the curse techniques or just one? Some questions that I did have myself are, if Higuruma gets a death penalty on the first trial, Can Sukuna still use his technique still? Or is the death penalty automatically a confiscation as well? And even so, I kind of would rather take away Sukuna's curse energy if I could than his curse techniques, since he has multiple. I really like that Yuji is coming up with plans and not just being the soldier in it. It was his idea to do the retrial against Sukuna with Higuruma, solving the little problems regarding what his curse technique would need in order to accomplish that. Ever since the Culling games, Yuji has shown to have a growing battle IQ and just coming up with ways to counter opponents who have an advantage over him. The retrial for the Shibuya massacre is set, this time with Yuji and Higuruma as prosecutors and Sukuna as the defendant. As much as I'm expecting this to work, the fact that Sukuna is smiling slightly alters my confidence, because either he's smiling because he just doesn't give a fuck, or he has a counter that he knows will work. Although he shouldn't, because in the last trial he was literally on file of being the culprit. Although it's going to be pretty funny seeing this brolic ass dude in Sukuna in court defending himself, or maybe he just pulls a Yuji and just admits that he did it. Now, as far as Yuji's curse technique reveal goes, he came after Mei did a blindside crow attack. She was kind of hyping herself up a bit because Sukuna dodged it and took out the crows, as well as Gojo and Kenjaku also dodged. I mean, she's got a valid reason to kind of big herself up. I just wish you never had that damn scene with Wee Wee. That's literally it. Yuji punched Sukuna, and Sukuna had like a reverb effect when he blocked it, and he was surprised by it. Seems like he has an idea as to what it is. I doubt it's Divergent Fist. I mean, he's seen that multiple times. It seems it might have affected possibly Sukuna's own blood since Yuji made contact with him, or maybe even the soul swap and foreshadowing. Like, it's very hard to tell what Sukuna possibly felt. Or of course it could be flooring red scale, because that is one of the basic abilities in blood manipulation, and it would make Yuji's punches ridiculously tougher. So once again, we're not gonna know until Gege tells us. But regardless, it does look cool as hell. The last factor in all of this is the merger, and it's the least threatening of the three monsters because of the fact that they just cannot get absorbed with curse energy. I'm really invested in the merger. I want to see the amalgamation of this curse energy and what it could create. Knowing Gege, it could subvert our expectations, and instead of it being a huge special grade curse, it might end up being like a small humanoid looking curse that wreaks havoc. I've always gotten a mixed vibe of like the Founding Titan and Meruem. Nonetheless, I'm very excited for that, and I'm already calling that now a certain Heavenly Restriction user will be the one to finish it off. That's it for this review. Check out the second channel, by the way, if you don't mind. I will be having an anime games video kind of over there eventually sometime this weekend, so be on the lookout for that. I'll finally start uploading on there. I'll let y'all in the next one. Peace.